Shalom, shalom, everyone. This is Yisrael with another edition of the School of Knowledge of our supernatural class on the Sabbath day. We'd like to say welcome to you all, and we'd like to welcome you to our class. This may be a lot for some of you all for the teaching, for the background. Some of you all are coming from Christian churches and things like this, and the things that we teach are straight out of the Bible, strictly out of the Scriptures, and we want everyone to feel comfortable. You may hear some things that you've never heard before, so I just want everybody to have an opportunity to know that. There are things that you're going to hear that you probably never heard before from the Christian teachings in Sunday school and Bible class because they don't teach this. But from a religious, from an Israelite perspective, getting to know Yah, we have things that we can talk about that we think that are very pertinent to the latter-day prophecy. So last week we talked about the kings. We talked about what we're dealing with now is the house of Israel. We're dealing with the statue of Daniel chapter 2, and we dealt last week with the scripture in Daniel chapter 2 that said, in the days of these kings, because a lot of people don't realize that there are still monarchs on the earth. And because we're in captivity, and because we are living in a republic where there is a president as a leader and not a king, a lot of people don't realize that monarchs still rule the world and they still run the earth. And this is very important to be able to say, because knowing this, you understand that the Bible does not lie. The Most High's word is not going to come back void, and that is why he made the statement that in the days of these kings, I'm going to build my kingdom. So we know that the gospel is not the life, the death, and the birth, the burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We know that the true gospel is the gospel that the kingdom is coming. And nobody wants to talk about the fact that he's going to have a kingdom. It's going to be 1,000 years that he's going to reign on the earth, and that when he comes, it's going to be a military takeover. There's going to be a war. There's going to be an invasion. Nobody talks about that. So we talked about those other kings and all of that good stuff. Now we're going to deal with a very sensitive topic about the understand what the house of Israel is and how important the house software and all of the programs we have to understand are being ran by the same people that are professing to be us. So if you have technical difficulties, there's sometimes we can do something about it, and sometimes we just have to be patient, because if they don't like what we say, a lot of times they cut the phones off, they mess with the internet, a lot of stuff going on. So I just want to share that with you, because, we still have to wake up, and that's something that Yah is doing, and nobody can stop it. They can't stop the awakening. So this is the topic of our conversation, is the house of Israel. And the reason why I say that is because as we deal with last week about the monarchs and the governments, and I showed you all of those kings, which I'm going to show you again today, you'll be able to understand why the house of Israel is so important, because we have to rule the earth as a ruling monarch. Because the Most High is coming to be king of the earth. Now, there are some people who don't believe in the Messiah, and I'm with that. That's fine. We don't have no issue with that. You may think it's Yah that's going to come, and not Yahushua. But there's a king coming from the heavenly kingdom to rule on this earthly planet that we're living on right now today. So some people may think it's Yah, some people may think it's Yahushua. But there's a king coming from another dimension that's outside of our dimensional realm, that's coming, that looks like us, that's coming to sit and rule from a whole other dimension into this earth's realm. I don't know if a lot of people have grasped that, because when I thought about that, that kind of blew me away a little bit. I had to sit back and think, like, wow, that's the kind of stuff movies is made out of. And all these sci-fi movies that we see. that there is a man that has dark skin and woolly hair that lives in a whole nother world, in a whole nother dimension, that is going to come one day on this earth and say, I will now take over and I'm going to have my own one world government. While the kings of this earth are still ruling. Now, to me, that's going to be a conflict of interest, and it's definitely going to cause a problem. Anybody agree? Anybody have a comment about that? Because that's truly the gospel that hasn't been preached. Because the Bible says that when the gospel of the kingdom is preached, then the end shall come.
Well, Sister Yaina,
yes,
see, that's how they got that together. That wasn't from the beginning how they got this one world government. They know that the Almighty is going to create this one good world government. So they're trying to jump the gun here. They want to start their own, especially the European. It's based on their, they want to have this one world government, you understand, because it's all coming from what the Almighty had already said. Hallelujah.
Well, so then, I'm glad you said that. So then let me ask you this. Because they're going to have one. Somebody tell me how long it's going to last. 3.5 years. They're going to get one for 3.5 years. They're going to rule the earth for 3.5 years. And once that 3.5 years is over with, that's when all things are going to break loose. That's when they're going to get one. They already had it set up because we talked about the book of Daniel where he talked about the toes and the feet that were mixed with clay and iron and how iron and clay don't mix. And that there's going to be a government that's going to set up with 10 kings, and those 10 kings are going to rule the world. And this is going to be a Gentile rule. Now, let me ask you this question. Can Israelites be Gentiles?
No.
No. He said this is going to be a Gentile rule, and the Gentile is going to have an opportunity to rule the world for 3.5 years. Somebody tell me why a Hebrew Israelite cannot be a Gentile.
Because he was chosen by Yah.
Okay, he was chosen by Yah. That's one question. That's one answer. Go ahead.
The Gentiles come from Japheth.
Say again?
The Gentiles are from Japheth, and we're from Shem.
Okay, so it boils down to Noah's 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth.
Mm-hmm.
So the Most High has a lineage that goes through those 3 boys. So Ham is the progenitor of who? The Ethiopians, the Libyans, the Canaanites, and who else? The Egyptians. So those are black people with black skin. And Japheth is the progenitor of who?
The European nations.
The European nations, and they are considered in the Bible to be called
Gentiles. And then Shem is the progenitor of Abraham, which the 12 tribes of Israel came through. So, knowing that, we have to be able to lay the foundation for that, because so many black people will tell you out of their mouth, I'm a Gentile. You go into a black church, the first thing they say is, I'm a Gentile. And you look at them like, that's not humanly possible. You can't be a Gentile.
You can act like one, but your bloodline says you're not.
Your bloodline says you're not.
They don't know who they are. That's the thing. They don't know who they are, and they don't know whose they are. They have been taught by Christianity to think that Christian way. We all have been through it. Those of us who come out of these Christian churches.
Yeah.
And until they humble themselves before the Most High, first of all, and then humble themselves for His Spirit, the Ruach, then they will not change. They have to want to change. They have to want to learn.
That's true. And guess what? You can't even want to do it unless the Most High open up your eyes. Because I didn't see it.
That's right. Brainwashed. You brainwashed.
That's what it is, brainwashing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it. Over and over again.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. I agree with you 100%. So, knowing that and understanding that the Gentile has to have his opportunity to rule the world, that he's going to rule for 3.5 years, that there's going to be a big crescendo, as Brother Donian said. We're leading up to that. That's what Daniel chapter 2 is all about. It's the succession of world government. When Nebuchadnezzar had that dream, and he dreamed that statue, and Daniel told him what the dream was and interpreted the dream, he told him the successions of government. He said, and no matter how wondrous Egypt was not a one-world government. It was not. And I would say something. Someone has come in on a tablet or something. Please put that on mute because that causes the echo. We do have this tape. This is being taped. So, knowing that and understanding that, we understand that there's a Gentile rule coming, that it's a one-world government rule coming before the Most High comes and sets up his case, because his kingdom is coming. And nobody's teaching that. Nobody's even telling you anything about that. Because all they're teaching now is that we're going to be saved and be baptized and speak in tongues, and then we're all going to go up to heaven and live there. And there's nowhere in the scripture that says that. Nowhere. That's not the order of how things are going to be. The Most High is coming here. And he's going to overthrow the governments, the Gentile governments, while they're still in their kingdom, while they're wearing their royal robes and their royal authority. He's going to overthrow those governments, and he's going to set up his own government himself.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Can you see the conflict of interest with that? Somebody preaching that in their church? Mm-hmm.
Conflict of interest, and also I can see them being extremely worried, and they're going to try to prevent its coming by any means necessary.
Oh, absolutely. That's why they have the Space Force and all that stuff set up. I was just watching Aliens not too long ago where they were talking about how the German government had extra help from extraterrestrials to actually put together some of their weaponry and their jet propulsions and all that kind of stuff to be able to put this together. And you best believe if they have the Space Force, man didn't figure that out on their own.
It is real. And they were showing things as far as like when the space shuttle was in space. They showed a clip where it's two objects. One was trying to aim for another one, and the one that was being aimed at made a sharp right turn. That is theoretically impossible.
That's what they said. That's what they said. So, but a lot of people don't understand, and I know they're going to hang up when I say this, that Yah, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, travels in a ship. Because they've been taught that God is a puff of smoke, and that he floats around, and he's a spirit, and he's everywhere, and that he travels. He don't need nothing to travel in. Well, when you read the book of Ezekiel tells you that he was traveling on something. And how they can miss that, I don't know. That the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of the Bible, was traveling on something, sitting on a throne, and that the four angels that had the four faces were actually driving this vehicle through the sky. Too much for people to take because of the fairy tales that we have been taught in church. Fairy tales, foolishness. Foolishness. I'm telling you. So, understanding who we're dealing with, understanding Israel from the mindset that we understand him from, we have to understand what this kingdom is and where this kingdom is coming from and who is initiating this kingdom and how this kingdom will survive. Because this kingdom is coming. It is coming. There has to be a series of events before this happens. And one of the events that has to happen before his kingdom comes is that Israel, his people that are scattered all over the earth, have to be gathered back together. So it's not the rapture that's coming first. It's not the rapture, and we're not going to get caught up with the Gentile church and everybody going to be happily ever after. That's not true. The Gentiles will not be going to heaven. I hate to have to say that. And I hate to say that because my daughter was like, Mommy, these people need to believe in heaven because heaven gives them hope. So I don't mean to take anyone's hope from them. I don't. I don't mean to do that. Hold on one moment, you guys. Okay, I'm sorry about that, you guys. But a lot of people have to understand that that's not the order and that's not how it's going to go. We have to understand that there's a certain order that it has to go in, and we have to follow that order. But we have been sold a bill of goods. And why have we been sold a bill of goods? Why is it that the Gentile has sold us the inclusion gospel where we all going to go to heaven together and everybody going to live happily ever after? Somebody tell me why they sold us that bill of goods.
Because it prolongs their state.
It prolongs their state, and what else does it do? What else do they escape from?
Judgment.
Judgment. They escape from their own judgment. They haven't even written that in. They didn't even write that in. They didn't include that. Because
and it's a money maker.
And it's, yes, ma'am, you better believe it is billions and billions and billions of dollars. Billions of dollars a day.
Now that, but it also gives us a false hope also. Those of us who are Christians, because when you do it, and they tell you that you will get your reward in heaven, but yet you have to go and work like a slave down here.
Yep.
So you don't, and in your mind, you don't mind working hard. You don't mind, not getting whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of you having your heaven now on earth.
Absolutely.
And
go ahead.
I want to add something a little bit. It may sound a little strange, but also when you look at the way Christianity has developed, it has centered Jesus over Yah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of taken Yah out of the picture. It almost feels like a continuation of the temptation of Christ. Remember when he was taken up way up high and was, the devil said, I'll give you all things, I'll give you all kingdoms to worship you. And it's almost like a continuing temptation because now you have this religion with people, billions of people over the world worshiping, giving worship, trying to give worship to Christ. It almost seems like a continuation of the temptation.
Absolutely. All of the things above. Who else? There was another sister. What was you going to say?
I was just going to say to keep you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it kept us from knowing who our God was and learning what was required of us from our God. And in addition to what the brother said about keeping them from their judgment, they also offered no explanation for our judgment that we were living in. We completely bypassed it and said somehow all these horrible things are happening to you. There's no explanation as to why, but don't worry about it because you're going to get to heaven one day and it'll be better. And all of us who've done everything we've done to you, there's no penalty for us. An incomplete story, and we never questioned that.
Absolutely. We didn't even know about a punishment for us. We didn't even know anything about a punishment for us or for them. It just wasn't included, but it wasn't excluded either, because you had to find that in the Old Testament. And that's probably part of the reason why they said that the Old Testament was done away with. Because if they could tell you that it had been fulfilled, you would not know to go in there and find out, well, what happened to these people? Well, who are these people? And what happened to them? And why were they punished? And what was the purpose for it all? Because a lot of people, you just didn't know.
But even though we didn't know that we were under a punishment, we were living a punishment.
Yes, ma'am, every day.
And that, but because of what we were taught, we never questioned why we were experiencing what we were experiencing if we're serving the same God. And there's no judgment for your behavior. There was never a question. But one day we just all going to be in heaven one day.
But you know why there was never a question? Because they put leaders up in front of us to make it seem like it was our fault that we weren't surviving. Because black people lazy and y'all don't want nothing, and all you got to do is just get up and make something of yourself. And why come we can't be the bankers? And how come we don't have our own community? And how come they put leaders up in front of us to perpetuate the whole lie and keep it going? And it made us feel like it was our fault that we were inadequate and we weren't able to survive and thrive, but really we were under a curse.
Yes.
Nobody told us that.
That's still happening. It's called the Democrats.
Yeah, but you know what, though?
It's still happening.
What about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and all those other 200 black towns that were in America that got destroyed because of the fact they were prosperous, and especially during the Depression era? They made more money than all of Americans combined.
Yeah.
And they went out and they destroyed them.
But guess what? It wasn't because we didn't have the ability. Because we're Yah's chosen people. The ability was never the issue. It was the fact that we didn't understand that Yah wasn't going to let that happen. Yes, they destroyed it, and yes, they burnt it down to the ground, but still Yah told us, I'm going to put you among these people because you have disobeyed me, and I'm going to make sure that you stay on the bottom no matter how much you try to come up and no matter how much you try to build yourself up. I'm going to make sure you stay there because this is a result of what you did, and it's a part of your punishment.
But also you got to remember, too, that were they seeking after Yah? Were they actually seeking after him, calling upon his name? Because that makes a difference also. Because how is it that they can go on and get like they did, be successful, have towns, and all of that, and then get the towns destroyed? Here it is, we are awakening. The awakening has been happening since the 1960s, slowly but surely. And now here it is. Go ahead.
I understand that. I do understand all that. It's the same way that some of us can be doctors. Right now, today, some of us on this line are doctors and lawyers and wealthy people. You don't know how many people write me and say, Yaina, I don't have a lot, but I have more than a lot of people. If you need something, let me know. I get that all the time. It's some of us that are living good. Some people are living good and some others aren't. It's never been the ability. I think that's the little sanctuary that he said he was going to be to us while we were in this captivity, that some had to be in those positions and be in those places, and that some people's families allowed them to have that opportunity. It's still, though, we still all in the same curse, because no matter how you try to slice it, there's still a Gentile somewhere walking around letting you know that I'm over you. Mm-hmm. And it can be God. They can take your legal license away from you. They can strip you of your medical license. Somebody is there to let you know that you still got to play by the rules.
Take your house, take your car.
Even the police can do it.
So it's never been to the point where we just, like the leaders that they stuck up in our face and say, if you just try a little bit harder, if you just try to make it just a little bit longer, it's going to be, and then you had the preachers preaching in your face at the same time. Now you got Malcolm X, and you got Martin Luther King, and you got Louis Farrakhan, and all these people are doing the rah-rah. Come on, yeah. And then you go to church on Sunday, and the preacher tell you it's going to be all right. In the by and by, when the morning comes. And then all that is programming. You're being programmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You really are. And then one day, y'all just tell you one day, he whispered and say, this is not really what's going on. Let me show you. And you be like, let me show you. What you mean? And then he just opened the whole world up into you, and then you realize that none of it is real.
None of it's real.
Yep. And this is the same way.
That comes in layers, you know, like you think
my goodness.
At some point, then, you know, one day you wake up and you're looking at something and it looks different. You're like, wait a minute, you know.
What?
I thought I was walking around here. I thought I had it going on, but now I'm looking at something different.
Woo! None of it is real. And they say it's the Matrix. I said the Matrix is on point. None of it is real. It's all a simulated experiment. It is. And you're sitting there like, how did this happen? How come I didn't see this? What is really going on? And then all of a sudden he just started opening up stuff to you, and you realizing what's really up and what's really going on, and you just sitting there in a daze, in a state of nothingness, in a daze, like, wow.
And I think every now and then we all had some glitches in the matrix, you know, but if you try to bring that up, you're just kind of silent.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This has been perfectly orchestrated by God.
And isn't it interesting that the person that wrote the Matrix is a Hebrew woman?
Yeah.
And of course, nobody knew. And she said, she talks like it was divinely given to her.
And then wait a minute, and then you open up that Bible and you go in that Old Testament and you realize, you say, well, wait a minute, there's a punishment, we're under a curse. And, you know, and it's like, okay, why are we under a curse? And then you go through that and you realize that we were disobedient. And then the further you start reading, the more you research, you understand that there's a punishment not only for us, but there's a punishment for the people who put us into captivity. That everybody's going to be. And you say, well, didn't nobody tell me this? Didn't nobody tell me they was going to be punished? Because it looked like from where I'm sitting, they doing pretty good. But guess what? The Most High said, all nations going to be judged. Mm-hmm. So when that sink in, and then you really start realizing what's going on, and you open your mouth to your family, the first thing they're going to say is you have lost your mind, you crazy, and there's something wrong with you. You in a cult. It's a problem. Because guess what? They're still being programmed. They're still in the programming part of it. It's like the Matrix. If you take the blue pill, you're going to continue to be programmed.
But that's funny. My daughter had told me, right? Because when something strange happened, I'm always telling them. You know? When she told me today, she said, you know, Mom, I think, you know, the black people in America, we're like a test tube because we're like nobody else. Nobody else. You know, nobody else. She said, we're totally different. We shape different. We think different.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, so she took my grandbaby to gymnastics, so she was looking at all these different nationalities, and she's looking at the body shapes and everything. She said, we just different. It's like we have tattoos.
Yes, we are.
Man,
yes, we are.
So you getting it? That's
it's going to come. It's coming. You just keep living it in front of her. It's coming, and the Most High going to show her more and more and more. But see, they still being programmed. And then what they tell you in the movie? If you take the red pill, everything gonna change. What you think you know, you don't know, and what you think is real, it ain't real. And who you think is on top ain't really on top. And you got to really. And this is the whole process of the layers that my uncle was telling me about. He said, you just keep on studying. He said, you're going to pull back the layers. It's like an onion. The more layers you pull back, you're going to keep on pulling back more layers. He said, you're going to eventually get it and understand it the more you pull back. So as we go into this and we realize this, and we realize that we can't be Gentiles, that we can't be black Gentiles, we can't be that. There's no way you can be that, and that we're his chosen people. That's why I went over that lesson that I went over with a couple of weeks ago to let everybody know that he chose us to be his people. There's a reason why he chose us. We went over the monarchy last week and all of the kings and queens. Why did he say in the days of these kings? because there's a monarch that's coming from the heavenlies, and it's going to set up a monarch in this plane like he did before, because Jerusalem and the 21 kings that we had in Jerusalem was like a litmus test. It was an experiment, because the Most High knew we wasn't going to do right. He told Moshe at Mount Sinai, these people ain't going to obey me, but he let them go into Jerusalem anyway, because we had to set the example for everybody else. So today, when these kings are, when you go through the, what do they call it when they put a king up on the coronation. The coronation. When you go through the coronation, guess what they use? They use the example that was given in the Bible for the coronation for King David and the coronation for King Solomon. They use those things because we was the litmus test. We had to be put out there for everybody to be able to see. But that wasn't the end of it, because he said, I'm going to reestablish that same kingdom in that same place on this same earth, but only this time I'm going to be the king. They ain't teaching that in Sunday school. Probably they ain't teaching that in Sunday school. They not.
Not only that, what our people are having the hardest time with, because they've been taught about Caesar Borgia, you can't convince some of them that the God, our God, has put us under a curse. They can't accept that, because he's just a good God. Although your life and the people you know are living nothing but a horrible life, even if you are okay, somebody in your family is, and too many of your people are not. Yeah. But somehow you just can't believe that it's possible for him to do this. There has to be an explanation. Our people have not been able to think through it, but he did tell us that our eyes will be closed until the end of the day for the Gentiles.
You being programmed, sis. They being programmed. It's like sitting in front of a TV. Have you seen those commercials where they show the kids sitting in front of the TV and their head is pulled back and all they see is that rays coming from the TV? That's how we've been programmed, by words. We've been programmed through those, like I said, the leaders they put up in front of us, the rah-rah team, and I call it the rah-rah team because that's what it was. Come on, y'all. We can do it. We can make it. We are black people. And then you go to church. It's going to be all right. After a while, and everybody shouting and running and screaming, yeah, we're going to make it when we go to heaven. Program. Predictive program.
Like that those kids' game, I think that new one is Fortnite. I mean, that virtual world, that's some serious stuff.
I know.
These kids are turning into zombies.
Yes, they are. We've all been zombies because guess what? We went along with the narrative. We believe the story. They control the narrative. So anytime they can control the way the story is told, they can control the story. They can tell you how the story goes and who the players are in the story. You're being programmed.
Not only that, but they've also put it into motion pictures as well as on TV. And when you keep playing it over and over and over again, and you're being taught in the churches, that reinforces everything.
Yeah, it does. It's like you're getting it from every side. When you pay money to go to their colleges, and they still program you. They're telling you about their history. They're giving you their story. They're talking about how they conquered and what they did and how they have all the things, and then you have to do it their way. And you do. You have to do it their way. As long as we're in this captivity, we have to do, when in Rome, you have to do what the Romans do as long as it doesn't contradict God's law. But when they tell you, I want you to sign the paper this way, you sign the paper this way. When they want your name in all caps, you in all caps. When you're a straw man, you're a straw man. You got to understand the whole, this is their system that they set up for. You have to get their education in order to be able to function in their system. Programming. It's all programming. But then God does something one day, and he wakes you up. He shakes you.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, what now? Huh? He said, I got something I got to show you. He said, I got something I got to show you. I want to show you something. I want to show you who you are. Now, on the surface, this is going to get good, y'all. On the surface, we're just black people with nappy hair that have been living a substandard life. We've managed to make lemonade out of lemon peels because this is who we are and what we were. But he said, Mama, I want to take you a little bit deeper. I'm going to show you who you are. And then he starts to show you Shem, Ham, and Japheth after the flood. And then he said, you from Shem, you Abraham's seed. And you say, well, wait a minute. They told us that we were from Ham and that the curse came from Ham, and that's why we was cursed, because we was black, and the curse. And the Most High said, no, you from Shem, and I chose you to be my people. And so you go through that whole stage, because we ain't going to stop there. We got to move forward. You go through that whole stage, and then the Most High comes around again, and he says, I want to show you not only who you are, but whose you are. And I want you to understand the relationship that we have with each other, that you're the only people that I have ever had a covenant with, that I have made a covenant with and a promise to your forefathers that I was going to do something for you, to you, and with you. Makes a lot of sense. It's like, wow, that is deep. And you be like, wow, Abraham he met Yah first. And then after he met Yah and Yah introduced himself to Abraham, now think about this now. This is the God that's on the earth introducing himself to people. And then he come up and he meet Isaac. He said, I want to introduce myself to you. I'm the Elohim of your forefather Abraham. And he makes a deal with him. I want to do this for you and that for you. And then Isaac has those two boys, and you would think the oldest was going to make it, and he said, no, the younger one is the one I'm going to choose. And he introduces himself to Jacob. And him and Jacob have a conversation, and Jacob does a negotiation. He said, if you do all these things for me and make sure I'm going to be all right, I'll serve you. So he agrees to all of that, and then all of a sudden, one day Jacob decides he's going to have a confrontation with an old man. What'd you say, Brother Yisrael? That man was old. He had a confrontation with an old man. They went to wrestling with each other. And he was wrestling. He said, I got to go, and daybreak is coming. I got to get back. And he said, and Jacob wouldn't let him go. He said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. He said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. And what the old man do? He touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh on his hip and put it out of joint and then blessed him. And then he changes Jacob's name. Yeah. But the part that gets me is that we got to deal with the house of Israel, because it's something a little bit deeper than what I just told you going on. I know it's one thing to know that we Israel and that we are the chosen ones, but we got to keep peeling back another layer, because there's a layer to this that we got to be able to understand. What is the house of Israel? Why is it so important? And where did it come from? That it was necessary for the Most High to establish monarchies on the earth for this purpose. Necessary. He put this thing together. It was beautifully put together. Necessary. The house of Israel. Now, most people would think about the house of Judah or Yehudah and the house of Israel splitting up the tribes. We know that when Solomon messed up, he split the tribes up. He sent 9.5 tribes with Jeroboam, and then the other 2.5 tribes was with Jeroboam. We know that. They were split. And they've been split up until this day. So we know that the captivity, and I don't want to get into the 9.5 tribes being in the same captivity. That's not where I'm going. But the captivity in the transatlantic slave trade was the tribe of Yehudah, Benjamin, and a part of the tribe of Levi. We know that. And that the whole purpose of this story is to bring all of the tribes back together so that we can be in one place, because that's the next prophecy that has to be fulfilled as it pertains to Israel, not the other nations. Now, dealing with the house of Israel, why was it so necessary and why is it so important? Watch where we're going. Here we go. Okay, reestablishing the dynasty. You've got to reestablish this thing in order for us to understand how important this thing is and what it means, because this is more supernatural than it is natural. Because some beings have to be regathered back together so that we can put back together the house of Israel. Now, the house of Israel was not established on the earth. The house of Israel was initially established in the kingdom. This is something else they're not teaching, that they don't understand because they can't teach something that they don't know and that they don't understand. So it was necessary. I want you to see how necessary it was that he allowed the children of Israel to go into Jerusalem at that time to be able to establish a dynasty. Because when he comes back, he's going to reestablish the same dynasty. Only this time, it's going to be the house of Israel ruling with the tribe of Yehudah, and King David is coming back to rule on his throne. Now, how crazy do that sound? Now, you know that that's in the scriptures all day long, that David is coming back. My prince is coming back. David will be back to rule. David is coming back. Well, how is David coming back and David is dead? Just asking the question. Anybody? Let's keep going. We're going to see. All right, it says, what is a hereditary monarchy? It says a hereditary monarchy is a form of government and succession of power in which the throne passes from one member of a royal family to another member of the same family. A monarch is a sovereign head of state in a monarchy. A monarch may exercise the highest authority and power in the state, or others may wield that power on behalf of the monarch. Inherit. Typically, a monarch either personally inherits the lawful right to exercise the state's sovereign right, often referred to as the throne or the crown, or it is selected by an established process from a family or cohort is eligible to provide the nation's monarch. Monarchs, as such, bear a variety of titles: king or queen, prince or princess. The office is automatically passed down as a family inheritance. Any questions? So all of this stuff is happening right now today in the world that we're living in, and the reason why we see so much of the House of Windsor is because they are the largest monarch on the earth. They own most of the riches of the earth. They rule ahead of all the other monarchs. That's why you always hearing about Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip and Prince Harry and Prince the other one. What's his name? I just dropped his name. Charles and his sons, and William and all of them, because they're the largest monarch on the earth. So in order for the house of Israel to come to the earth and set up the monarch, there has to be members of the royal house included in the monarch. And where will he find these members? Where are you going to get them from? Where is he going to get his family from, his children from, to be able to live?
Depends on who he has among the redeemed.
They're going to be among the children of Israel, right?
The 12 tribes.
Say again?
I said the 12 tribes.
The 12 tribes. That's the reason why we were chosen, because we are the monarch's children. And it's just not a natural inheritance, it's a supernatural inheritance. And this is why he has nurtured us the way that he has, because he has to get us ready to be able to rule.
Sister Yaina.
Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't it be from the tribe of Judah, since he's the one that, how he got it started? Israel?
So would who be from the tribe of Judah?
The monarchy. Wouldn't it come from that line, from Judah?
No, because, when you think about the children, all of the tribes are his. Now, Yehudah is the royal tribe. Yes, it is. It holds the monarchy. Yes, it does. But the whole of the house of Israel is scattered among all the tribes. These people these beings that I'm talking about. Because if that was the case, then it would be no need to go through the whole story. He just gathered Judah and be done.
No, I mean, we're all as a whole people of Israel, but the highest monarchy seemed like it would be from Judah.
It is. Judah is going to be the monarchy. You're absolutely right. Judah's going to be there. Judah's going to set up the same monarchy that was set up back in the day when King David ruled it all. Judah will be there. David will be on the throne. But I'm talking about the citizens or the members of the family of the house of Israel. I'm not talking about the house of Judah. And I'm not talking about the house of Israel that you read in the Old Testament. I'm talking about the one that he said, I came but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So if he's a king, let me ask you this. If Yisrael is a king, where did his kingship start?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Jacob?
If Israel, I'm not talking about Jacob, I'm talking about the Elohim of Israel. If the Elohim of Israel is a king, where did his kingship start?
It started in the kingdom where he is.
It started in the kingdom, absolutely. So if Israel is a king, and they say, some of you all sitting saying, Israel, who is Israel? What is she talking about? And I'm going to give you a scripture. If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and then will I heal their land. So if his people who are called by his name, what is his name?
Israel.
His name is Israel. Because we are called the children of who?
Israel.
Of Israel, all through the whole Bible. We're the children of Israel. He said the children of Israel. The children of Israel. He told Jacob, I'm going to surname you my name. My name is Israel. So if Israel is the king, and he started out as a king, he started out in the kingdom. So when we talk about the house of Israel, then what are we talking about?
We're talking about the 12 tribes.
The children of Israel.
But Yah's royal house.
Mm-hmm. Yah's royal house that started in the kingdom.
Not the one he's talking about, his family. His family.
His family. Y'all started, I got them talking now, his family. The family that was in the kingdom that somehow happened to end up on the earth came before the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's what he told them.
And that was the Messiah, right?
Yes, ma'am. And that's in the New Testament. Yes, ma'am. He said, I came before the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So somebody is on this earth that is here that has to be redeemed back to a immortal status to be able to go back to becoming the members of the royal house of Israel.
I'm not getting that. I'm sorry.
No, I know it's a little deep, baby. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I understand. And I told you guys that this is the supernatural class, and it may be way above your pay grade, but let me try to make it simple as I can. You do believe in the kingdom, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You know that there's a kingdom up there.
Yes.
Israel is the king.
Okay.
There was a monarchy there as well. And there was a family there. Say that again?
Would that have been the Most High, the Messiah, and the Holy Spirit?
Yeah. You can do the Most High. You can say it however you want to process it. There's a monarchy there, and there were family members of the monarchy that was there. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you how those members left the kingdom and how they have to be redeemed. There was something that happened in the kingdom that caused those members of the family to be removed, and now they have to be redeemed. So the whole process for Adam being created was for the redemption of the house of Israel that started in the garden. And I'm going to prove that to you with Scripture. This is why the kingdom is coming, because he's got to be able to redeem his family, because his family is going to be what, per se, the Senate of his house. We're going to rule with him. We're going to be there with him when he rules on this earth. Now, let me ask you a question. Will mortal beings be here too? Yes, they will be. They will be. And like I told y'all, some of you all, this is above your pay grade, and you're going to have to stick around in order to understand it. And we will steer you to the internet where we have some teachings on this. But I'm going to ask you another question that's going to be a little bit deep. Is Mama, Daddy, and Uncle Joe going to come back and be regular mortal beings during this kingdom?
You're asking, are they? Yes.
Yes, they're going to come back. They're going to be reborn again, aren't they?
Right.
I'm going to show you that in the Scripture. May not be able to get over through this all today, but I want to be able to cover that, because the whole purpose of redeeming the house of Israel back is because we have to rule, but in order for us to rule, we have to be immortal. We have to go back to the original status that we were before we left the kingdom. It's all in the Bible. It's all there. Nobody just left. Nobody steered us to it because they were too busy trying to sell the propaganda. It's all there. So then let me move on, because I want to get deep here for a minute. I'm sorry. I'm going to move on just a little bit. Okay, now we said, what is pedigree? It's the descent of an animal being proven purebred. The record, the ancestry, especially upper-class ancestry of person or of family. It says ancestry, lineage, genealogy, family tree, heritage, parentage, bloodline. All of that's a part of pedigree. It says the phrase House of David is not surprisingly thought to mean the family or the descendants of David. It denotes the kingly line of Yehudah and all those who had Dawid as their physical forefather. Remember that now. According to the Hebrew Bible, Dawid and his house, his descendants, were appointed by Yah to rule all of Israel. So the house of David, it didn't. I'm going to say this again. I need your help. It denotes the kingly line of Yehudah and all those who had Dawid as their physical father. So then, if that's the case, then what does it mean for the house of Israel? Now, I'm talking about the kingly, the heavenly house of Israel.
They're children of Yah.
We the children of Israel, aren't we? We the children of Yah, aren't we? We're children. We are his children from the kingdom.
But
oh, they're hanging up now. Huh?
But the ones you're mentioning are kind of set apart from Israel, too. The
Yes,
monarchy.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am, set apart. You better believe this set apart is different from the children of Israel. Why is it different?
Because they come from Israel.
They come from Israel. Oh, you getting it now. Okay. You get it. Okay. You get it. So it's a totally different breed of children mixed in with all the other children of Israel.
Right.
Oh. So now, do you think they know who they are?
No.
No.
Are you
talking
about
who they
the
are.
kingly line?
Yes, ma'am. I'm talking about the kingly line of Israel, not David, of Israel. Do you think they know who they are?
I don't think they do.
They don't know. Nope, they don't know. Just like, guess what? Just how we were in Christianity and we didn't know that we were the children of Israel is the same way they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. So they have to be redeemed first before we have to set up the house of Israel first before we can even establish the kingdom, because it's necessary for them to be put back into their rightful place. It's all in the scriptures. It's all there. So he's physically coming back to get his children. Watch. Here we go. It says the biblical use of the term house of Dawid draws attention to Yah's choice of Dawid and his descendants as a dynasty. It is common, listen what it says, for a kingdom to be called the house of a king, with the king's name being a prominent or ancestral king. So in order for you to have the house of something, you have to be a king. We're talking supernatural now. Watch where we're going. Watch you go. Then we're going to go to 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 7 through 14. Watch what it says. It says, and it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Most High had given him rest round about from all of his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, see now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of Yah dwelleth within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, go do all that is in thy heart, for the Most High is with thee. And it came to pass that night that the word of the Most High came unto Nathan, saying, go and tell my servant Dawid, thus saith the Most High, shalt thou build me a house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build ye not me a house of cedar? He said, have I ever asked you to put me in a house? Watch. Now therefore so shalt thou say unto thy servant Dawid, thus saith the Most High of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, and from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thy enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more, neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time. And as since that time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thy enemies, also the Most High telling thee that he will make thee a house. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. And he shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. And I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. And thy house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever. According to all these words, and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto Dawid. So he established the kingdom of the nation of Yehudah, the kingdom of King David, the house of King David forever, to be ruler over the people of Israel. Now, there were people that were established for him to be able to be his people. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 15. Watch what he said. And for you all who can't see the screen, I will give you scripture so you can read it on your own. It says, I am the Most High, your Holy One, the Creator of Israel, your King. A lot in there. He said, I'm the Most High, your Holy One, the Creator of Israel, your King. What does that mean when you create something? You made it, didn't you? You created it. Why? Thus saith the Most High, which maketh a way in the sea and a path in the mighty waters, which bringeth forth the chariots and horses, the horse and the army and the power. They shall lie down together, and they shall not rise. They are extinct. They are quenched as tow. Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and in rivers in the desert. The beasts of the field shall honor me, the dragons and the owl, because I give waters in the wilderness and rivers in the desert to give drink to my people, my chosen. This people, listen very carefully, have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praises. What does that mean?
He created them, and they're going to worship him.
He created us. He created us. And guess what? Just like the lady said, my daughter said, it's something different about us. When you look at us, we're different from everybody else. We're different from all of the other women on the face of this earth. We have a different mannerism about ourselves on the face of the earth because the Most High created us to be his chosen people. He said, I formed these people for myself. When you form something, you shape it to be the way you want it to be. So he made all of the other people to look a certain way. The Chinese people look different. The Japanese people look different. The Caucasian person looks different. The people from India look different. But it's something about the children of Israel that we have a totally different look. Our hair is different. Our body forms is different. Our shape is different. Our strength is different. Our thoughts are different. We're just different. Why? Because he said, this people, he's talking about you, have I formed for myself, they shall show forth my praise. He said, these people are mine. I made these people especially for me. And why did he make those people especially for him? Because the house of Israel has to be born through the children of Israel. That was the whole purpose for him coming down on Mount Sinai and bringing the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. Because the same law that's here is in the kingdom. Because everything he brought down here was up there. He said, I'm going to give you a type and a shadow, but I'm bringing this to these people so that you can understand the customs that you lost when you left from up there. Because I got to get you ready to be in an immortal state, and you have to know how to conduct yourself because you're from the house of Israel. Everything. From the pattern to the tabernacle, to the way the table of showbread was made, to the way the table of incense was made, to the holies of holies, all of it was a duplicate. It was a copy. The whole story was put in place to get these people, the ones that he formed, to be able to handle themselves a certain way so that the house of Yisrael could be born through the children of Israel. Because you have to be born what?
Again.
You got to be born again. Oh, we got to be born. Woo, you got to be born again.
Thank you for joining our class. We hope that you continue to join us every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The phone number is 319-527-9197. The access code is 256 £039. We hope that you have enjoyed our class today, and we look forward to you joining us in real time. So we're so glad to have you at the Nation of Yehudah, the School of Knowledge. Shalom, shalom, everyone. Thank you. Goodbye.